Morning, Bernard.
Great to have you guys. How are you doing?
Well, we're well, but it's a solid morning.
It's crazy, man. Like, you know, it's so random. Sir John, like, and so I'm not sort of placing one life over the other, but Sir John, for anybody who's done journalism in the past 10, 15 years, is a very fascinating character. I mean, vivacious, full of life. Looked much younger than his real age.
Yeah.
And first time I actually found out how old he was, I was interviewing Papa Usu Ankoma, who said that Sir John was his JCR secretary when he was SRC president or something. Like, how? Like, you look older than him. He said, no, we're in Sabah Hall together many years ago. And Sir John became a lawyer in 1981, the year I was born. Think about that. So the man is old, and he was really a nice, interesting person. Well, he's gone with COVID. If there's anything we should learn from, COVID doesn't discriminate, so let's be responsible. What's the first story?
Well, if you go to the Ghanaian Times, it says Presidential Pitch Program, 3 winners back 210,000 cedis. Day 2 of voters registration exercise. Social distance defiance persists as guarantor system slows down process. COVID-19 Finance Ministry earmarks 80 million cedi special allowance for frontline workers and will prosecute anyone who guarantees for more than 10 applicants, the EC speaking.
Front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper also goes with the presidential pitch. Entrepreneur 26 wins 100,000 Ghana cedis prize money. Fidelity Bank has posted a 322 million Ghana cedi profit for 2019, and the Electoral Commission's measures to curb and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
The Chronicle says gunshots at Achinsua as Collins Dauda is pepper sprayed, and there's a picture of Musa Isaka, who is the Esutifi South MPP organizer. A bloodstained shot there. Parliament short of quality debates. Majority leader is complaining.
Front page of the Daily Guide says NDC gurus turn EC lovers as 19,000 register on day 1 in Volta alone. Gunfight in Asante Achim North NPP, and robbers storm church, kill man. That's the sad story of Mark Amofa.
The New Crusading Guide says President presents 1 million cedis to 20 young entrepreneurs. Ghana First contractors in trouble. They face penalties over agreement breaches. Gerald Nyanyofio rally support for victory. He's contesting the Ladade Kotopon seat on the ticket of the MPP. And Ekia Oye family warns public on dealing with the Dayman chief.
And front page of the Daily Heritage this morning says locked up monies, payment to determine our votes. 400,000 private school teachers to lose jobs if Ministry of Education insists on teacher licensing.
The Business Finder says entrepreneurship innovation are key to economic revival after COVID-19. President challenges presidential pitch season 3 winners. ICU rallies more support for hospitality sector. Ecobank robust and profitable.
Now, finally from me, Bernard, if you go to the BNFT's front page, crude revenue drops 5% despite 15% increase in production for 2019.
And the ABC News says Volkswagen assembles 5 models in Ghana. Ghana must review COVID-19 discharge policy. Dr. Jehu Appiah, the editorial of the paper says register but observe COVID-19 protocols, and President Akufo-Addo commissions cluster water projects in central region.
CityNewsroom.com, all of a sudden COVID has become the lead story again. Former MPP General Secretary Sir John dies after contracting COVID-19, the lead story. Also, Sir John was a good man, I'll miss him. This is Baumia tweeting. Makmenu Carlos Ahinkra in ICU after testing positive for COVID-19. Meanwhile, case count 18,134, recoveries 13,550. And then the lead story there, Greater Accra region coronavirus cases crossed 10,000 mark. If you go to myjournalline.com, other stories there, sights and sounds of Sir John in Ghanaian politics. Police pick key leads in robbery and killing of caretaker of Bantama SDA Church. And police initiate probe into murder of man who tried to stop a rapist. But the lead story is also Forest Commission boss Sir John is dead. In fact, Star News also, Sir John dies of COVID-19. Other stories, COVID-19 deaths now 107. Voter register, 1 injured as Achim Manso residents clash with non-residents. And Health Ministry yet to submit data for payment of frontline workers. Now, citybusinessnews.com, leave is lost when you don't take it. Nothing like accumulated leave exists. Austin Gami. This has relations to the Dumelavo case. Also, any additional borrowing to finance expenditure is risky for the economy. This is economist Edu Sarko there. And MTN extends fee waiver on up to 100 Ghana cedi Momo transfer by 3 more months. Now, let's run through the African continent. If you go to East Africa, Kenya sets new record in daily cases for COVID-19. Guys, this thing is not going on. Nigeria records 790 new COVID-19 cases as total infections exceed 26,000. Oh Lord, if you go to South Africa, the Mail and Guardian is also talking. Actually, they've taken a bit of a breather from COVID. Cape Town suspends Metro cops involved in eviction of naked man. And then there are a couple of stories around the AU must keep momentum to end structural racism. So those are some of the stories the Mail and Guardian is focusing on, although they have a full COVID-19 page. And that also has some stories around that. Let me take you to the BBC. US passes Hong Kong sanctions as nations condemn new law. Now, meanwhile, US daily coronavirus infections hits new record. Then CNN is chastising Trump. They're basically saying Trump's anti-mask crusade comes back to bite him. And then, of course, if we go to Hong Kong, the big story. China and India agree to move troops in batches from disputed border. So much to say. I don't know if you guys have the Sir John story on any of the newspapers.
No.
I think it occurred too late in the night. So let me give you the City newsroom version and then some of the reactions coming through. Then you can do the COVID numbers if you have them, because we have COVID numbers as well. Former MPP General Secretary Sir John dies after contracting COVID-19. Story by by Neil Latte says, essentially Sir John was CEO of Forestry Commission. He has died. A source at the Forestry Commission told City News that he died at the intensive care unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital Wednesday, July 1, after testing positive for COVID-19. Tributes have started pouring in for Kojo Owusu-Efriye. The Director of Communications at the Presidency, Junain, posted on Facebook that RIP Sir John till we meet again. Kojo Oponkroma, Minister for Information, tweeted a painting of Sir John. Meanwhile, Sir John recently lost his sister, Comforter Moating, and his mother, Obapenyin Ketsewa, who are yet to be buried. Now, Sir John was born in the Ashanti region, attended SDA school in Bekwai, obtained his GC ordinary level certificate, proceeded to... We'll give you the details later. Now, let me give you other angles of this story. Sir John was a good man. I'll miss him. This is Baumia. Vice President Dr. Baumia has joined many Ghanaians and activists on the MPP to mourn Kojo Owusu-Efriye, popularly called Sir John. Baumia, in a tweet hours after the news, said he has spoken to Sir John a day earlier and was surprised to learn of his passing on Wednesday. He described the man who until his death was CEO of Forestry Commission as a good man who will be missed. Now, let me give you related stories on this, because you have two other high-ranking members of the MPP at the intensive care unit. Story by Godwin Akwete. It says the MPP's campaign manager for 2020 elections, Peter McMenu, and the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Carlos Ahinkra, have been admitted at the ICU, which is the intensive care unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, after both testing positive for COVID-19. City News understands that a number of government officials have tested positive for the virus and are currently receiving treatment at various health facilities. Now, this comes, of course, after the death of Sir John. Now, we already told Ghana's health minister tested positive for the disease about 3 weeks ago, received treatment. CEO of NHIA, Dr. Lydia Jan-Selby, tested positive within the same period. Mayor of Sekenita Kradi, KK Sam, tested positive, died. We also were given incomplete information about the situation of the education minister who had been, the word wasn't quarantined, he had been detained.
But since he's free, we can assume.
Yeah, and then of course Damboche as well. He had taken a test. We didn't know what the results were. Then let me give you finally, since we still have the stories not coming in early, our case count, gentlemen, 18,134. Greater Accra region has 10,000 COVID-19 cases. Of course, they have recoveries as well, but just to give you the seriousness. So, Ghana's COVID-19 case, 18,134.
Let's be clear. Recoveries or discharges?
Okay, so let me qualify. Ghana's COVID-19 case count, 18,134. 13,550 recoveries stroke discharges. They are together.
Difference.
5 more persons have succumbed to the disease, meaning they've died. So 117 deaths. Active cases, we see that's the difficulty. Active cases now 4,467. So once the person has been discharged, they are not considered an active case, although they are also not fully recovered. So you make the choice for yourself. Now, Ghana has conducted 300,520 tests since the first cases in March 2020. Now, the regional breakdown is another angle to the story. 10,087 Greater Accra region, 3,676 Ashanti, Western 1,556,
56.
and then everybody else is below 1,000. Central Region 973, Eastern 668, Volta 346, Upper East 274, Northern 137, OT 112. The rest are fewer numbers.
And if you go to page 23 of the daily graphic, Etiwa East records 2 COVID-19 cases is also reported. According to the story, the 2 women whose samples proved positive were part of a number of samples taken to the Noguchi Memorial Institute. But is there any story on testing?
I will find for you. But Nathan, let's go to the Times. Give me what you have there before
Well,
I come back if I find a story on testing.
Well, if you go to the Times, the COVID-19 stories have 2 angles. One, the finance ministry saying that 80 million cedis has been set aside for the special allowances that will be given to health workers. Now, that was revealed by a deputy finance minister, Charles Edu Boahin. He told Parliament that the amount had been put away and was awaiting data from the health ministry. He was responding to a question by Ho Central MP Benjamin Komlak-Bodo, who wanted to know when the beneficiaries would receive the money. Now, the other COVID-19 story has to do with day 2 of the registration exercise, because pages 12 and 13 of the Ghanaian Times are saying that social distancing has not been respected as the guarantor system has slowed down the process. Now, day 2 of phase 1 of the mass voters registration exercise across the country has been characterized by non-conformity to social distancing protocols as the guarantor system slows down the registration process. On a visit to a number of centers in Accra, the Ghanaian Times observed that while the use of face masks had improved, many continued to disrespect social distancing protocols, with the number of prospective registrants increasing.
Meanwhile, the EC says we've done well in managing safety protocols at registration centers. This is cnewsroom.com. The Electoral Commission says it deserves some public commendation for the smooth takeover of the ongoing nationwide mass registration exercise. It also wants Ghanaians to show gratitude for the strict compliance of COVID-19 safety protocols that it believes is being witnessed at various designated registration centers across the country. In an interview on Eyewitness News, PR officer of the Commission said, while there are few lapses, the Commission claims its observations show most registration centers are adhering to the laid down safety measures as prescribed by the Commission and health authorities. She cautioned registrants to be cautious by prioritizing their personal safety in order not to derail the efforts being taken to reduce the spread of COVID-19 during and after the registration procedures.
Well, that story is also carried on the front page of the Daily Statesman. But staying with the voter registration exercise, Daily Guide's angle is that NDC gurus turn EC lovers, as 19,000 register on day 1 in Volta alone. And according to the story, members of the opposition National Democratic Congress who swore heaven and earth that the EC could not compile a new voters register before the December general election have now turned lovers of the EC. Their about turn on the compilation of a new voters register has moved another notch as the party's leadership now paradoxically campaign for the EC. And the story goes on to name a few top members of the NDC who have been seen at registration centers registering. Then if you also go to the front page, well, let me do some more politics.
Yes, why not?
As gunfight in Asante Achim North
over
registration, and there's a story in the Daily Graphic as well. There were gunshots at Kotobabi.
Yes,
that's in the Daily Graphic. Now, if you stay with the Daily Guide on page 3, at least one person has suffered gunshot wounds after a fierce gun battle ensued between 2 factions in the ruling MPP in the Asante Achim North constituency yesterday. Supporters of the sitting MP and their peer could be and a former MP of the constituency, Kojo Bajiman, allegedly clashed in a bloody fashion in broad daylight. The 2 feuding factions were said to be heavily armed and engaged in a dangerous gun battle.
Was that primary held or it's been suspended?
Well, Bernard, there are conflicting reports on the status of the election that was held, because there was an election, but as to whether it was legal or not.
Maybe the General Secretary has to tell us.
Yeah, if you look at the official MPP report as well on that, it still names the Subin and Asante Achim North elections as outstanding. So perhaps we'll have to go back to the
last one on the register. Eligible SHS students unable to leave school to register. This is the Upper East Region EC. The Upper East Regional Directorate of the Electoral Commission says it's been unable to register final year students of second cycle schools eligible for the voter identification card. The GSP, the Ministry of Education, directed heads of senior high schools to send home any final year student who left the school's premises because of the threat of coronavirus. But according to the EC Directorate, all registration centers have been gazetted for the ongoing voter registration exercise, and there's no room for extra centers that could accommodate students in their schools.
Well, if you go to Achiensia in the Esutifi South constituency of the Ahafo region, there were some shenanigans because 4 people suffered various degrees of injuries at a registration center there. Now, the people are Musa Isaka, the MPP's constituency organizer, who's also the NADMO coordinator for Esutifi South, Apia Kubi, polling station organizer in Kasiem, and David Abrefa Mensa and one Ajar. So David and Apia were shot in the rib and leg respectively, while Musa and Ajar were beaten to the extent of blood oozing from their faces.
Let's go to the issue of Domelevo. Leave is lost when you don't take it. Nothing like accumulated leave exists. Austin Game, StoryCityBusinessNews.com. A labor analyst, Austin Game, has stated that the concept of accumulated leave, which is mostly prevalent in Ghana's public sector, is not backed by the labor law. According to him, per Section 31 of the Labor Act, unused leave periods are forfeited and not automatically rolled over as accumulated leave, as has been described. Now, this subject has re-emerged after President ordered the Auditor General Daniel Domelevo to proceed on his 1-2-3 days accumulated leave. Annual leave allows employees to take paid time off from work for the purpose of having regular breaks to enable them rest and re-energize. Now, labor analyst Austin Game told City Business News that human resource managers ought to be blamed for the accumulation of leave or the accumulated leave concept, which is flawed. According to him, it's a mandate of the HR personnel to ensure that all workers take their annual leave within the stipulated time and cannot accumulate same. Okay, so that's it. Now, you wanted something about testing. That was on City Breakfast News. Pearl read a story that 2 private institutions have been accredited to add the testing. One was the one at airports, Nyaho. The other one I forget. But Okoboy defends government's new COVID discharge policy. That was also on CNR yesterday. Okay. Story by Lendapa. A Deputy Minister for Health, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, has justified the government's decision to comply with the WHO recommendation to discharge persons with COVID-19. According to him, the agency made the declaration based on new prevailing scientific knowledge of the novel coronavirus, which has not been contested by any credible scientific institution. Now, let me give you 2 global stories on COVID.
Okay, let's go there.
Kenya records highest number of COVID cases in a day. This is on the East African. They recorded their highest number of COVID-19 cases in a 24-hour period since the first case was reported in February. This is 307 new cases from a sample of 3,591. Then, if you go to Nigeria, they record 790 new cases as total infections exceed 26,000, confirmed Wednesday night by their own NCDC. Then, in the United States, 52,982 people tested positive for coronavirus on Wednesday, a new one-day record. States are rolling back plans to open up. New York has paused plans to allow indoor dining. President Trump changes tack and says he would wear a mask in a tight situation. Meanwhile, Lord, all kinds of things happening. 10.6 million coronavirus cases globally, 515,500 deaths. Guys, this is serious.
Well, if you go to India as well, officials in the Indian state of Karnataka have apologized after footage showing officials dumping bodies of COVID-19 victims caused outrage. The video circulated on social media showed workers in PPE kits tossing bodies wrapped in black garbage bags into deep pits. Officials in the state's Bellary district confirmed that the footage was genuine and apologized to the families.
Nathan, what else do you have for me non-COVID related?
Well, if you go to the ABC News on the front page, it says Volkswagen assembles 5 models in Ghana.
Okay.
So the Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Kwejo Chematin, has paid a working visit to the first phase of VW's Ghana assembly plant in the North Industrial Area, Accra. Volkswagen was the first global automobile company to sign an MOU with the Ministry of Trade and Industry to establish a vehicle assembly plant in Ghana under the Ghana Automobile Manufacturing Development Program.
Okay.
The CEO of the company, Mr. Jeffrey Opom Pepra, who accompanied the minister and his team on the tour of the plant, indicated that the company had commenced commercial production under a registered local company, VW Ghana, and was producing 5 Volkswagen models in the Accra plant. Now, these brands include the Tiguan, Amarok pickup, Passat Polo, and the Terramont.
Fantastic.
Well, also, one other sad story, the proper Ghanaian world champion died yesterday. Alfred Cobra Kote passed away in the United States at the age of 52.
What happened to him?
He had a stroke, and then there were complications after. So the Cobra was who was Africa's first WBO title holder.
So in that era, there was Azuma Nana Konedu and then Alfred Kote. He was our third best in those days.
He was 52.
Now, let me just run through a few more stories. 21 foreign-owned companies shops reopened at Tiptoe Lane after verification of documents. Story by Mina W. Some Nigerian retailers who had their shops locked up by the Guta have had them reopened after they provided legitimate documents allowing them to do business in the country. The shops were locked up nearly 6 months ago at Tiptoe Lane, at Nkrumah Circle and Opera Square in Accra, when angry Guta members protested against retail trade, which is against their involvement in retail trade, which is in Ghana's laws. Now, the reopening happened yesterday. In all, 21 of the nearly 600 foreign-owned shops were reopened on day one of the 3-day exercise.
Yeah.
And then that story is on quite a number of websites as well. So, guys, this is where we are.
Yeah.
Let me just end with this one. Health Ministry yet to submit data for payment of frontline workers. Finance Ministry says so. This story is on Star News. The Finance Ministry has blamed delays in payment of allowances for frontline health workers on the failure of the Health Ministry to submit data of the workers. And this was a headline you read earlier.
Yeah.
Charles Edubuahin disclosed that health workers on the COVID-19 frontline will be paid their 50% special allowance as soon as the data is made available.
Because, Bernard, there's a difficulty
in determining who is a frontline worker.
On Sunday, the president said that conundrum had been solved.
Oh, they haven't resolved it under him. They just told him something. Anyway, that was the newspaper review. If you have anything to say to us, we have a WhatsApp number 0549986996. We'll be right back with the City Business News. Stay with us.
This is the City Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Do you want to bank safely from the comfort of your home or office? Then join Fidelity Bank